Alright YouTube, what's up? I'm going to disassemble my carburetors and tell you a little bit about them along the way, as well as I'm going to be rebuilding them. I have some rebuild kits for them. I also have some parts cleaner and some choke carburetor cleaner as well, we'll call it, but on the insides they are brand new practically. So I'm going to get started with taking these apart. So we have our velocity stacks. These things help draw air in, they help compress it, and then create turbulence once they reach the auxiliary venturis. We have our gasket. This usually goes for the filter plate. So this will lay down. You have a plate that holds your filter housing, and that goes there. We have our main airs. These ones are running 200s, 9164 by 2s, and then my mains are 180s. I think those might be a little big for the engine I'm running, but we'll see what happens when I put it on the dyno. So this is the top plate. These are also Trijets, by the way, so the way you can tell if a Dellorto 48 is a Trijet is you can check the front of the housing. If you have this type of casting, this is a Trijet. If you have a, I think it looks more like a water molecule, you know, 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen on the face of it. You can also tell by the top plate. So the top plate has these 2 little prongs that stick up. Let's see if you can see that. So yeah, you have these 2 little brass, I guess kind of like pokers almost, but they have a little hole drilled inside of them, and this is for the enrichment jet that the Trijet has. So let's do this. Also, another note I want to add is all the tools that you use, make sure they fit perfectly. You want them to fit perfectly because there's a lot of brass screws in here, and if your screwdriver is loose or too big, it will eat up that head, and you're gonna just destroy your jets and be angry later on in life. Let's take our fuel inlet out. Let's see. Damn, like I said, looks brand new on the inside. Almost nowhere. Even the filter looks brand new. You can tell it's old, but it just looks immaculate. Okay, there's a top plate. There's a needle and C. We're going to be replacing that later on in the video. For now, we're just going to get this apart. We have our airs, or idle jets. These are 70s, so they should be a good size for my motor. Oh yeah, it's for a 2161, by the way, 10-to-1 compression, 84 crank with 90.5 pistons. Wow, look at that. So if you look inside there, it looks brand new. Like, you could see all the machine work on the top of the cast. You could see just the clean casting inside the float bowls. Also, if you see right there at the bottom, those 2 little brass screws opposite of each other, those right there are the Trijets. The Trijet jets, I guess you can call them. If you can see that, it's kind of a really bad angle, but right there, that thing right there, that's a Trijet. Alright, so what was I gonna do? Oh yeah, so we'll take out our fuel squirters. They're on the front or back face, or pump face, I guess you can call it. These things just seal up, and then as you work your diaphragm or your accelerator pump, it will force fuel into the venturi, actually. Yeah. Like I said, these are old, but they look brand new. All the threads for everything looks really clean, really nice. Just gonna clean these out anyways, just because it's a safe thing to do. You're taking it apart, you might as well go through and give it a little bit of a cleaning. Damn, these things are stiff. I can feel like there's like a gel on it or something. I guess that's good though, right? Because you don't want your You don't want your accelerator to be decreasing as it wobbles, right? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take out our auxiliary jets. You're gonna need 11. You're gonna want to break that nut loose. Take it out completely. There's one. Here's two. Yeah, we'll put these over here. And then you want to find a flathead screwdriver that fits perfectly, because you do not want to eat these up. That would be bad. That would be very bad, because, you know, you don't want your vents to be moving around. Oh yeah, and so the job of these auxiliary vents is to cause fuel in from your mains. So when you're at full WOP, wide open throttle. Alright, we got one. And we have two. Also, another thing to note, wow, these things are still spongy. So there is a seal inside of this auxiliary vent, and it's important because you don't want air fuel to be, I guess, incorrectly mixing or prematurely falling into the port. Wow, but yeah, these things are still soft. That's good news for me. Okay, here we go. Now this one you want to be a little careful because there is a check valve on this one. You want to make sure this check valve is working properly when you reinstall it. The reason for that is you don't want fuel to come back up. And luckily enough, some carburetors, I know the Kedrons, they have this problem where the check valve is just a free ball bearing sitting inside of a port, and it's very easy to lose, where Dellorto kind of took the extra effort. I mean, it was a lot more difficult, but they did an effort to put a ball bearing inside of your jet, which is kind of nice, you know. It's harder to lose if you think about it. Alright, now we're gonna take out these little jets that go for the enrichment circuit. Yeah, look at those little things. So yeah, they're real tiny, not very big. Let's see if they say anything. They say 20 on them, so I'm probably gonna have to do more research on these before I really button everything up tightly, just to see what kind of tunability I can get from them. Mostly just see if I can get them to enrich early on in their acceleration. So like for example, my engine's going to be running, still make power at 7,000 and minusculely make more power at 8,000. But 6 to 7 is going to be the hot spot for that. Yeah, it says 20 on there. So I could see if maybe get these to come on at 6,000. I've heard they come on at 7 to 9. That's pretty intense. But it's possible. I've heard stories, and well, I guess yeah, stories of people getting Norris 440 cams and some crazy other tricks to get their engines to pull at 9,000 RPMs, but you know, probably possible. Alright, so like I was saying again, you want to make sure that you get a screwdriver that fits perfectly. You do not want to ruin these. Oh dear. Alright. See, like I just did there. It did not fit absolutely perfectly, and now it has chipped a little bit of the top. Just a little bit. Just enough to to make me kind of mad. It is almost perfect, but not quite. I'm gonna wait on those. Oh wait. No, yeah, that one's too big. Yeah, I'm gonna wait till I get another screwdriver just so I don't damage this one anymore. Okay, next, onwards. So we have these. Yeah, we pulled out auxiliaries. These are gonna be a 10 mil. And what these do is they help hold in your venturi. And they're just like a little spring-loaded needle that just locks into place. Doesn't do any air drawing or anything like that. They look interesting, but they don't really do too much. So we have that. Okay, that looks like everything. Alright, so we pull out our venturi, and as you can see, or you probably can't see this, but it's a 40mm venturi. And I have 38mm venturis that I'm going to run on this, just so I can get a little more punch out of it. Good venturis, they look really clean. Yeah, no scratches or anything. Okay, next up is the front, or pump side, whatever you guys like to call it. So we're going to start off, let's see. Take out our air mixture screws. You want to be careful with these. There's a plate, a spring, and a seal inside here. So you don't want to lose your plate. Alright, so that's this. It's got a really long needle on it. We'll leave that one in there. We'll get these out first. Maybe be able to fish it out with There we go. That's the little plate I was talking about, or washer, plate, however you want to call it. There's still a seal inside there, but it's an old seal, so I'm not worried about it getting lost right now. So I will leave that there and make sure to check back on it while I'm cleaning everything. Oh, this one came out. There we go. So there's the seal. There's a little washer plate that compresses the seal, and then there's a spring. You want to make sure to have that plate in there. The reason for that is that spring isn't going to apply an even amount of pressure onto that washer, as well as surface area wise. And that is very important because you do not want those to leak air, or yeah, just leak air really. It'll be much more difficult to tune your engine. Now these right here, these are interesting. I have never actually found a use for these, only because I've never taken advantage of these little ports that they have on the side right here. I'm not actually quite sure how they work or what they do. I've never had a reason to use it, so I've never had to research it. But from what I guess I've heard, speculations and other information is that this little hole that's next to your air mixture adjusts air pressure of some sort. It acts as like a relief valve to your I guess if you're running a vacuum advance. So when you unscrew this little relief valve, it pulls more vacuum from your vacuum port. That's what they say. From what I can tell, if you look inside the port itself, you can see that there is a hole that goes directly to the vacuum port. but I'm not sure how accurate that that is. Diaphragm. There we go. Nope. Careful, it is spring loaded. It will jump back at you. Just to tell everybody, I'm not gonna take off the diaphragm completely from the spring. It has this thing has literally never been taken apart. So if you look on the nut, there's a yellow inked marking that shows that, like, from factory, that this is the position for that nut onto the. I'm happy. I have my spring. Wow, look at that. It looks brand new. Oh, a little thing about these carburetors too, which you'll find interesting. The reason why there's this whole debate against what's better, 48 IDA or 48 IDF or 48 Dellorto. Well, if you have full drag application, then they say go IDA. You know, that's the way to go. A carburetor built for racing at wide open throttle, and that's really all you're looking for. But Dellortos are, how do I say, they're said to run as well or almost as well as an IDA at wide open throttle. Really just depends on how you build your engine. But the difference between a Dellorto 48 is you can also run this on the street. And the reason for that is you have 5 ports for acceleration. And while 48 IDAs only have 2 and IDFs have 3, I believe. 3 or 4, I do not remember exactly. And that's why they're more streetable, because you have more of a progression. So your progression ports are incremental. The Dellorto can run as good as a 48 IDA, but it's got better streetability than a IDF. So kind of makes it sound like a more superior carburetor, but IDAs are also or Webers are continued and Dellortos aren't continued, so they weren't as popular. It's really hard to find parts, especially bodies. That's like the one thing you can't find any of. Top plates are pretty rare. I think they still make Venturis and auxiliary Venturis. They make all these screws, or all the jets, screws, and adjustments. But yeah, so that's why I kind of went with this, since I'm going to be running it on a circuit track. Should have a good drivability on there, as well as give me some top end power. And I want to say thank you for watching. That's pretty much everything I know about the Dellorto 48 Trijets, all the different parts. Most of them are interchangeable between different carburetors of the same style. It's relatively similar. All right, thank you guys.